Hell, according to Christianity. I'm Paul. In this video, we dive into the depths of hell according to Christianity, exploring ancient myths, theological debates, and enduring mysteries in this captivating journey. Is hell really a concept in Christianity? One of the key concepts that define the Christian religion is hell, a place where sinners spend eternity in infinite suffering. Almost all civilizations have some form of the underworld, the world of the dead, the hereafter. Therefore, death is an obvious concern for humanity, and much has been said, written, and imagined about hell. From the classic caricature of a site full of fire, where sinners are incinerated, to the complex system of circles. Based on the different sins narrated by Dante Alighieri in the Divine Comedy, its representations are many and varied. But what would hell really look like according to Christianity? In this video, we will tell you about the Greek background, the different visions of hell in the Catholic religion by various thinkers, as well as other related references before delving deeper. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notifications to stay up to date with our updates. Who was Hades in Greek mythology? In ancient Greek mythology, Hades was sometimes one of the main deities, the god of death and king of the underworld or the world of the dead. Hades would be the eldest son of the Titans, Cronus and Rhea, also the brother of the most important Greek god, Zeus. He rules and directs the underworld, hence his name became synonymous with this place. For the Greeks, all the dead, regardless of their behavior in life, go to the underworld except exceptional people like heroes. Tertullian, one of the first Christians, speaks of Hades to refer to hell. Tertullian's influence. Tertullian was not the first Christian author to create literature of this religion in Latin. He is generally one of the first Christian authors. In his writings are important references to heaven and hell after death, in which the word Hades is used to define it. It must be assumed that the light is a subterranean region and keeps at a distance those who are too proud to believe that the souls of the faithful deserve a place in the lower regions. As in fact the soul will ascend to heaven, where Christ is already seated at the right hand of the Father, when the trumpet of the archangel has not yet been heard by the command of God. When even those whom the coming of the Lord will find on earth have not yet been taken to the air to meet him at his coming, along with the dead in Christ. Who will be the first to resurrect? The only key to opening paradise is the blood of your own life. In the Textus Receptus, the Greek version of the New Testament, the word Hades appears 11 times. The Textus Receptus is a series of printed editions of the Greek New Testament. It was the basis for Martin Luther's translation of the Bible into German, and also for the translation of the New Testament into English. In this text, the Greek word Hades appears 11 times. In all appearances of this word, except one, Hades has little or no connection with rewards or punishments in the life after death. The only exception is the parable of Lazarus and the rich man from Luke, in which the rich man is found. After death in Hades in anguish in this flame, while in contrast the angels take Lazarus to the bosom of Abraham, described as a state of comfort in ancient Rome. Hell in ancient Rome. In ancient Rome, in Latin, the words infernus or infernum were used as references for the Greek word Hades. In ancient Rome, the Latin word enfermos or inferno referred to the world of the dead, thus used synonymously with Hades. Over time, the transliteration of Hades from the Greek ceased to be used in Latin, and then infernum became the usual way to express the idea of Hades. Although enfermos is often translated into English as hell, it did not have the strict current sense. Rome still had the generic meaning of the abode of the dead. Different words in Hebrew and Greek were translated as hell. Some of these words translated in the Bibles as hell are Sheol in the Hebrew Bible and Hades in the New Testament. Many modern versions, such as the New International Version, translate Sheol as grave and simply transliterate Hades. It is generally accepted that none of these words refer to a place of eternal punishment, but to the grave, the temporary dwelling of the dead, the underworld. Gehenna in the New Testament, where it is translated as a place where both the soul and the body could be destroyed in unquenchable fire. The word is translated as hell or hellfire in many English versions. Gehenna was a physical place outside the city walls where waste was burned and lepers and outcasts were sent. The Greek verb Tartarus, which appears once in the New Testament, is almost always translated with a phrase like thrown into hell. Some translations represent it as Tartarus, a Greek name for a lower, subterranean place of divine punishment than Hades. Jewish beliefs in hell. In ancient Jewish belief, the dead were indiscriminately destined for Sheol, a place under the earth of darkness, silence, and oblivion. However, it was not necessarily a place of punishment. By the 3rd or 2nd century BC, the idea expanded to include separate divisions in Sheol for the righteous and the wicked. For the late rabbinic period, around 500–640 AD, Gehenna was considered the ultimate place of punishment. Hell is a real place. The Bible describes hell as a place, a site, a real space as real as the heaven above and the earth below. However, hell is in a spiritual dimension that cannot be seen or visited. According to the scriptures, Jesus referred to hell more times than he mentioned heaven. When he spoke of hell, he described it as a place some will go to, a place where our bodies and souls will be destroyed, a place that is far from the presence of the Lord. In the story of Jesus about the rich man and Lazarus, the rich man specifically calls hell a place of torment he does not want his family to go to. Imagine being in a terrible prison where you are tortured day and night. That is a specific and real location that you would not wish others to visit. This is how the Bible describes hell. Hell in the Bible and New Testament. According to the Bible, King Josiah put an end to these evil practices and the Valley of Hinnom eventually became a landfill and sewage dump where fires burned continuously to eliminate waste. According to the scriptures, Jesus used the Valley of Hinnom to describe hell. According to various biblical descriptions, hell is a place of eternal fire and total darkness, punishment, eternal destruction, and alienation from God for eternity. It is a place where God's wrath will be poured out on those who have sinned against him. Given all these truths, it's not hard to see why hell is a place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, as described in the book of Matthew. Some have described it as conscious and eternal torment, a place of endless suffering and pain from which there is no escape. The visions of hell in Fatima. The visions of hell of the Virgin of Fatima, the visions of the Virgin of Fatima, which occurred in 1917 in Portugal, included a vision of hell presented to the three seer children, Lucia dos Santos, Jacinta Marto, and Francisco Marto. According to Lucia's account, the Virgin Mary showed them a vision of hell during her third appearance on July 13, 1917. In the vision of hell, the children saw a vast sea of fire and souls in torment. Lucia described the vision, saying they saw a great sea of fire that seemed to be under the earth. Submerged in that fire, demons and souls as if they were transparent and black or bronzed embers, with human form floated in the fire carried by the flames that came out of themselves, along with clouds of smoke falling in all directions. After the vision, the three children saw the Virgin who told them, Have you seen the hell where the souls of poor sinners go? To save them, God wishes to establish in the world devotion to my immaculate heart. If what I say to you is done, many souls will be saved and there will be peace. The war will end, but if people do not stop offending God, a worse one will arise. During the pontificate of Pius VII, when you see a night illuminated by an unknown light, know that this is the great sign that God gives you that He is about to punish the world for its crimes through war, famine, and persecutions of the Church and the Holy Father. The visions of Fatima about events that are part of the Catholic tradition. The Church officially recognized the apparitions of Fatima as authentic, the vision of hell transmitted. During these apparitions has had a lasting impact on Catholic spirituality, emphasizing the importance of prayer, penance, and conversion to avoid eternal suffering. St. Augustine and Thomas Aquinas on hell. Who was Augustine of Hippo? Augustine of Hippo is one of the most prominent theologians and philosophers in Catholic history. Originally from Hippo in North Africa, dominated by the Romans, he lived between the years 354 and 430 and is perhaps more frequently known as Saint Augustine. His writings influenced the development of philosophy and Western Christianity. He is considered one of the most important fathers of the Latin Church in the patristic period. His numerous major works include The City of God, On Christian Doctrine, and Confessions. What did Augustine of Hippo say about hell? In his writings, St. Augustine stated that the suffering of hell is aggravated because God continues to love the sinner who cannot reciprocate that love. According to the Church, whatever the nature of the sufferings, they are not imposed by a vengeful judge. However, primarily, Augustine of Hippo focused on the human incapacity to understand and know hell regarding the specific detailed nature of hell. The Catholic Church has not defined anything. It is futile to speculate on its true nature and more sensible to confess our ignorance on a matter that evidently surpasses human comprehension. He is considered one of the most important fathers of the Latin Church in the patristic period. His numerous significant works include The City of God, On Christian Doctrine, and Confessions. What did Augustine of Hippo say about hell? In his writings, St. Augustine asserted that the suffering of hell is aggravated because God continues to love the sinner who cannot reciprocate that love. According to the Church, whatever the nature of the sufferings, they are not imposed by a vengeful judge. However, Augustine of Hippo primarily focused on the human inability to comprehend and know hell with respect to its specific detailed nature. The Catholic Church has not defined anything. It is futile to speculate about its true nature, and more sensible to confess our ignorance on a matter that evidently surpasses human understanding. Eastern Orthodox perspective. In the perspective of some Eastern Orthodox Christians, the categories or places of heaven and hell are understood as experiences of God's just and loving presence rather than spatial destinations. There is no place of divine absence. The relationship with God determines whether the experience is torment or joy. For those who reject God, the divine presence becomes anguish. Some Orthodox theologians speak of separation from God as the essence of hell, suggesting that hell is a spiritual state of being unable to experience God's love and being conscious of the ultimate deprivation as punishment. Human freedom to accept or reject divine love determines the reality of hell, which is the consequence of preferring the creature over the Creator. Communion with God is seen as essential to avoid spiritual separation and eternal death. As humans, it is inevitable to feel curiosity about death and what comes after it. The possibility of being condemned for eternity, for actions committed in life, is undoubtedly one of the most effective incentives to promote a certain morality. For this reason, hell has been very important in religions. However, ideas as abstract and complex as this always generate more questions than answers that can be found. Is it a site, state, or place after death? How can we, the living, even experience it? Council of Trent and defining hell. The Council of Trent was the 19th ecumenical council of the Catholic Church held in that city in northern Italy between 1545 and 1563. The council was held motivated by the Protestant Reformation at that time and therefore has been described as the incarnation of the Counter-Reformation. The council, convened by Pope Paul III, developed over 25 sessions, after which statements and clarifications were issued about the doctrine and teachings of the Church, including Scripture, the biblical canon, sacred tradition, original sin, justification, salvation, the sacraments, the Mass, and the veneration of the saints, and also issued condemnations of what it defined as heresies committed by defenders of Protestantism. The consequences of the council were also significant concerning the Church's liturgy and censorship. The Catholic Church would not convene a new council until 300 years later. Modern interpretations and debates. Hell is a place? Usually, according to the traditional Catholic view, hell has been considered a physical place. Some have rejected metaphorical interpretations of biblical descriptions of hell, considering it a real site with its place within the earth, while others maintain the opinion that hell is a defined place, but its location is unknown. In a homily given on March 25, 2007, Pope Benedict XVI affirmed that Jesus came to tell us that he wants us all in heaven, and that the hell of which we speak also in our time exists and is eternal for those who close their hearts to his love. Journalist Richard Owen's interpretation of this comment as a declaration that hell is a real place was reported in many media. Writing in the 1910 Catholic Encyclopedia, theologian Joseph J. said, "Theologians generally accept the view that hell is actually within the earth. The Catholic Church has decided nothing on this subject, therefore we can say that hell is a defined place, but we do not know where. Hell is a place of suffering." According to the Catholic Catechism states that hell is a place of eternal punishment. Jesus frequently speaks of Gehenna and the unquenchable fire reserved for those who until the end of their lives refuse to believe and convert, where both soul and body can be lost. Jesus solemnly proclaims that he will send his angels and will gather all evildoers and throw them into the furnace of fire. And he will pronounce the sentence, "Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire." The Church's teaching affirms the existence of hell and its eternity. Immediately after death, the souls of those who die in a state of mortal sin descend to hell, where they suffer the punishments of hell, eternal fire. The principal punishment of hell is eternal separation from God, in whom only man can possess the life and happiness for which he was created. Although the Catechism notes that the primary punishment is separation from God, there is no definitive clarity on the existence of other forms of punishment in hell according to Catholic belief. God is fundamentally a merciful and loving entity who finds no pleasure in the death of the living and does not wish or predestine anyone to hell. The Catholic stance holds that God does not desire suffering, and that the only known entities in hell are Satan and his evil angels. The only suffering in hell would not be fire or torture, but the eternal separation from God and his love. This separation is freely chosen, irrevocable, and inevitable. In addition, the righteous in heaven contrast with the potential and reversibility of a mortal, sinful life that has not been absolved before death. In this context, the Church and the popes have emphasized the reality of the place or state of hell. Another interpretation suggests that the Catechism does not negate other forms of suffering, but highlights that the pain of loss is central to the Catholic understanding of hell. We hope this video has been helpful. If you have something to add, please share it with us in the comments section. Like this video and send the link to your family and best friends so they can also learn more about what hell really is in Christianity. If you are new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe, And don't forget to follow us on all our social networks.